What you are listening to is real. The parties involved are not cool. They are actual geeks with a case pending in the court of public opinion. The party's case has been dismissed, and the dispute will be settled here on our podcast. There will be no lawyers. There will be no witness testimony. The judge's decisions are final.
Hello, I'm Judge Ivan.
I'm Judge Jonathan, and this is Geeks on Trial. Today's case, Privacy Party.
Welcome to Geeks on Trial. This is the podcast where we settle petty disputes between actual geeks over movies, video games, board games, and so much more. If you'd like to submit your own geeky case for a future episode, you can do so at our email address, geeksontrial@gmail.com. You can also support the show over at Patreon, patreon.com/geeksontrial for a few bucks a month, and you'll gain access to early audio and video episodes before they're released to the general public.
You ever go out and wade into that general public, Ivan?
No. I don't like people, I don't like places, and I don't like things.
That's fair. So you're against nouns, is what I'm hearing.
I'm a nounist. Noun. I'm an anti-nounist.
I get that. It's hard to be one because it's hard just not to use them in everyday speech. But you do what you can. Well, before we get to our case, I thought we could talk about the fact that we did wade out into the general public like we were fording a river in Oregon Trail.
True.
It was a bit of a birthday weekend this past weekend.
It was. Whose birthday was it?
At least one person's, or at least I think, and one of them
was my
was
birthday.
You.
It was mine. All mine.
So everyone send your birthday wishes in to our email address.
It'll be late. It's fine.
And we took a trip to the local arcade. Now people might be saying the arcade. There's no arcades anymore. Well, that's not true. There's a chain over here on the East Coast. I think there's like 4 of them maybe.
Right.
And they have these, and of course there's your Dave and Buster's and things like that. But you can find around the country, I think, different arcade spots, retro throwbacks, and
Barcade or other places like that.
Yeah, this place is more. It doesn't have the bar. You can bring your own beer. They allow that, which is nice. But it's really dedicated to arcades. The way they work now is, you don't put quarters in. You just pay. Here it's per hour, and you can play whatever you want.
I was putting quarters in all the machines. That could be why every machine that I was touching broke instantly.
They were playing a prank on you.
I jammed them in there. I got them in.
I did see you doing that, and I guess I just thought it was maybe some kind of a sexual thing.
Nope, I brought my gavel, and I took a quarter and just got it right in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, naturally, we walk around like this all the time.
Right.
Full robes.
Yep.
People are just listening to the audio. They may not know we wear the robes and have an actual gavel, but
sure.
Now you do. I don't know. Anyway, we've been there before, but it's been a few years. I don't think I had gone since COVID.
No, I haven't been to this one since COVID. There was one near where we live that I've gone to, but I always love going to these, and if I had more time and we actually planned out a full day of this, I would love to spend a full afternoon there and pay that. They have 2 different prices. You could pay by the hour, which is what we did, and I think we were there for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Hour and a half, yeah.
And that was for 2 of us was $25, which if you buy the day pass, you can pay $25 to be there from open till close, which I'm sure is probably 8 to 12 hours, which I could spend a good 8 to 12 hours there and maybe go out and get something to eat.
8 to 12, that's a really long time.
Well, think about it.
You'll have beaten every arcade game they have, I think.
Well, that's the thing. If you think about it that way, you can go through and actually play each individual game.
You could.
Which usually when we go there, it's okay, we get a sample, we taste a few games and stuff. They probably have what? Would you say they have about 100 games in building?
I don't know. Maybe if you count the pinball and stuff. They
Right.
also have console games. They have couches where you can actually play a game that was made post 1990.
Well, that's what I want to ask you. Would you sit down and play a console game there?
I mean, I could see circumstances maybe theoretically where that could happen if, I don't know, they had a fun game and it was oh, there's people here who I don't know that are playing a
Right.
game I never get to play. They're doing a
Or like a
Smash
super
Brothers
rare
thing.
game or something.
Yeah, but it's like I have my own TV and console
Right.
games. I don't need to come here to pay you to sit in a public place to play those games. I can do
Right.
that at home. It was really bothering me. I pointed this out that
I knew you were going to say this.
they were playing some like Mega Man, old school games on these TVs, but they were stretched to fill the widescreen,
Yep.
and that drives me nuts because I think it looks terrible. It should be.
The only game that worked for that I saw was GoldenEye 64.
Well, GoldenEye has a genuine widescreen mode in its
Right.
options, so yeah, they planned for that. But
Now I
yeah,
wonder if the owners of the arcade had it set to 4:3, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's not filling the screen. Can you make it 16:9?"
could be. But I mean, come on, you're in an arc. It's the whole place is just a tribute to the '80s. It's you should know better. They should really.
Well,
it should be a CRT. Is what it should be.
That's what I love about the play. Like if you walk around and you start looking around at some of the decorations and stuff, they have like old CRT TVs just kind of on static mode. They have some
Oh, yeah.
playing old like music videos or commercials from that era. All the music, I'm pretty sure, was like 80s, 90s music too.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's a lot of fun, and I liked how it was very. We went on a Saturday night. It was pretty crowded,
It was a
and
little too crowded for my liking, but not bad.
yeah, like I could do with a little bit less, but
Right.
I did. It was kind of fun to be like. There was something cool about being in an arcade that was as packed as it would have been 20, 30
Right.
years ago. Like that was kind of a fun experience that you think you can't have anymore, but in some places you can pretend you're in Karate Kid or whatever.
We might have been way too young for like to experience actual arcades. I don't think I was ever at one, not at like a boardwalk
No,
or like
me
a
either.
skill, like a Dave and Buster's style. But I this is like the most that we would gain. Like this is that night was like the taste of the 80s and 90s because we were born in
Mwah.
89, so like we were way too young to be like, okay, go into the arcade by yourself.
We're just so damn young.
So young. Just look at our
Yeah.
youthful skin.
Yeah, we didn't get to have that experience, and it is funny because I imagine an actual kid from the '80s, if you told them they could spend a day at an arcade for however much it was, like that's their dream come true.
Right.
You know,
Because I'm
Although,
sure back in
know.
the day, you could probably spend $25 in quarters at an arcade.
Yeah, those things they're quarter eaters. Those things. We had a
But
lot of fun with
we're-
the pinball tables too.
We were having that conversation that like some of those games, like it might have been the Simpsons game, it was set up to eat quarters.
Yeah. Oh, almost all of them were. I mean, it's
Like you weren't meant to win these games. It's like going to Atlantic City or Vegas. Like you are meant to sink a paycheck worth of money into these machines.
yeah, that's pretty much how it is. That's why a lot of times when you play them without that restriction, you realize how shallow those games are. 'Cause there's just if you can't die, then it's just meaningless.
Oh, but and you brought up the pinball machines. That's how I am at pinball because there was a few times where it's like shot the ball and it went right between the two
Flippers,
flippers right down into the you lost. Yeah,
the dolphin, flipper.
because
Yeah, I still am trying to figure out. I really like pinball, but I'm still not sure. Is there skill involved in pinball?
I don't know because like even like we have a arcade near us and it's mainly pinball, and it's like we don't spend enough time at one machine or we don't have enough like we can't hear it because
Right.
they stack them quite close to each other. So I know there are like mini games in a pinball machine, and there's stuff where you're supposed to be looking at the monitor and then looking down. But I always get paranoid that if I look at the screen, I'm going to miss the ball.
Right.
Or,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I'm sure if you have it at home, you can hear the ball coming down the board.
and I guess theoretically, it's like, okay, if I know the exact angle to hit the flipper at, and I know which thing I'm going for, but I'm sure there's pinball experts who will say, oh yeah, it's a game of great skill. But I don't know. But part of me still feels that ultimately it's just
It's random.
You're pressing two buttons. It's
Right.
fun. It's fun to do, but I don't know how much there is to it.
And a lot of the newer ones too, like you hit the button and it's an electric thing, so it's just a timing mechanism.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
pinball machine did you like? Like I enjoyed the Simpsons one the most. That
The
was
Simpsons
kinda
one
cool.
looked cool. There's an Avengers one that wasn't bad. The Twilight Zone one's pretty cool.
You loved the Addams Family one.
There's the Addams Family one that was like just had a flashing light that just blinded you
right in your face. Yeah.
Everything else you couldn't see. There was a Star Wars one that I thought was really hard, but it was cool because it was Star Wars. But I was like, this seems challenging.
Well, that one was also like there was a video game built into it that you had to like use the buttons on the side to like move the ship. It was very weird.
Yeah, some of the technology one is a bit newfangled. Hey, maybe we should move into the 21st century and talk a little bit about technology.
Who?
Technology. It's sort of a shorthand for technology.
I thought it was an Italian restaurant that we went to. Hey, technology.
It's okay. You can say it because you're part Italian now.
Right. That's how it happens, right?
That's how it works. Everybody at home knows what we're talking about now.
Right.
Technology comes into today's case, of course, and that's what we're here to discuss. This comes to us from the internet. You can find a link in our episode description. And the case revolves around a dinner guest who, parentheses M, I've named them Kilroy.
Oh.
Normal name. Now, Kilroy's attending a dinner party at their friend's house for some food, fun, conversation, as you do. And Kilroy's got one little concern, though, one little bugaboo about this party. And that is that the host of the party, their friend, has a smart device in their home. An electronic speaker that responds to voice input and provides helpful tips and suggestions. You know what I'm talking about. We've got
Let's call that device Smalexa.
We're gonna try not to say the names of those devices, but you probably got one on your smartphone or sitting on your desk or wherever you are in your kitchen or something like that. And Kilroy, however, Kilroy's a little bit different. Kilroy ain't got one of those because Kilroy has heard tell that those smart devices, they record your conversations. Mm-hmm. And Kilroy requests that the host turn it off during their meal. And will the host refuse to comply, Kilroy thinks he will not attend said dinner party. Now, as dual judges here on Geeks on Trial, it's our job to determine whether Kilroy's concerns over privacy are valid or if he's a conspiracy theorist who should just shut up and enjoy his free dinner.
It's true. Now, let me ask you. I know you have at least one smart device near you right now. Are you overly...
I unplugged it by accident because the cord was... But here it is.
Yep. Like, right now near me, the computer that we're talking into is technically a smart device. But there's a Google over there. I have a smartwatch on my desk. There's smart headphones. I have a cell phone staring at me.
Surrounded by them.
Like, clearly it doesn't bother either one of us.
I'm just going to say this, before you'll get to the rest of your question, but my assumption from reading this is that this Kilroy is possibly in their 70s or older. Right. So maybe different. But yes, for us, we are certainly surrounded by these things. You can't escape them.
Have you ever come across anyone in your life who was like this?
Well, we do have one...
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend who will go nameless, but I'll call him Garrett. You can bleep it if you want to. And he is. Oh, and I used to have another friend in college who was like even more extreme about this too.
Oh, right.
But I find that it tends to be. It's the two extremes. I think there's two kinds of people who get concerned about the privacy of these devices. It's the people who are technologically illiterate,
right,
and don't understand and are just scared of technology, or it's the people who know technology too well,
right,
and they know too well how little privacy we actually have.
I would say there's probably a third person in that, which would be the middle ground of, they have a cell phone, they are of a certain age, and they watch a lot of news. And are fed the lie of that. That would be that.
Okay, well, which I don't. You're calling something a lie. That's a bit of a.
Maybe not a lie, but you know what I'm saying, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, perhaps. There's maybe shades within there. But the people that I have known have been the types of people who are super hardcore computer geeks,
Right.
who like program and everything like that. You know,
Who want your, let's say, your emails that you send to them to go through an encoded email address.
right. They use Signal because it's
Right.
encrypted and stuff like
Or they
that.
use it like DuckDuckGo because they don't want their ads to be.
They don't want
marketed
Jujul to
towards
know
them.
what they're doing.
Right.
That's a big mouth joke. They call it Jujul.
Okay.
Anyway, it's funny. It's there's a little. This is why you listen to this podcast, is to get the jokes from other shows.
Right.
Now,
Right. So we sum up other shows on other networks so you don't have to listen to them.
yes, but none of those. So those people have, that I have known in my life, have taken painstaking measures, some might call them, to protect themselves. But
Right.
no one has ever said to me, "Hey, get that thing out of here." No one's
Right.
ever told. No one has ever. I have never felt my agency. As a man in America, I haven't had that taken away from me yet, and certainly not in the regards to smart devices. What about you?
It's never really come up, and my fiance works in IT, and we kind of we've had the discussion about it a few times because he like these other people, he knows the back end of it, but he just embraced it. He knows that he has a tracking device on his cell phone. He knows that you use a credit card and it's going to tell people where you are. Like, he's embraced that, like, okay, we have an audio recording device in our bedroom at all times.
Right.
It's okay. If somebody wants to listen to that kind of stuff, God bless them.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the position that I have taken by default. I don't know that people really have much of a choice anymore.
Right.
And I will just to clarify, this case comes from this month of this year. This is like hot off the presses, this case.
Literally.
So it's not like this happened in 1999. Smart devices didn't exist then, so never mind.
The Internet of Things wasn't a thing.
But yeah, everywhere you go, everything is tracking you all the time. And especially if you own a smartphone, you're done. You're screwed.
Even a non-smartphone, like even if you still have a Motorola phone from back in the day, you have to sign up for that plan using your personal information. Like, you need to give them a credit card. You need to give them a phone number. You need to give them your address so they could send you the bill. They know where you are. And I know that does sound creepy. They know where you are. They're seeing you. But people who drive Teslas have cameras in their car.
That's true. People who have dash cams have cameras in their car.
Right. So
I don't know. That wasn't a point. I just said that to be an idiot.
but yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Has this ever it's never concerned me because willingly since the age of 10 or 11, I've been making content for the internet. My face has been in front of a camera saying stupid shit since before I hit puberty.
Well, that is a big part of it. I mean, we're getting into, this is a big topic.
It is.
This is a large topic that we are going to settle on this episode. And yes, there is the thing that the fear used to be Big Brother watching us, and now,
which is why do we have to gender them?
Well, because of the patriarchy.
Oh, okay.
Big they, them.
That sounds creepier. Big they. Big they is watching.
Big they. Oh, big they. But now, Big Brother doesn't have to. Nobody's scared of Big Brother because everybody feeds into Big Brother because of social media, right?
Because it's a show on CBS hosted by Julie Chen.
Yes, exactly. That indoctrinated us all.
Why do I know that?
I don't know who Julie Chen.
She's the host of the show. Yeah.
Oh, she's the host of Big Brother, of course.
Yeah.
Like always, like that's the original host. Okay, yeah, I never watched a second of it.
Neither have I. I just know it.
Okay, good. Well, that's fine. That's fine then.
It's not okay.
And it's almost. I feel like this is like cliche to say. It's been said before, but with social media, it is like everybody now wants to tell everybody where they are all the time. Now,
right.
That's not necessarily true for all people. There are still the people who aren't part of Facebook, don't really do the Twitter thing, whatever it is. Right. And I also, there's the saying of that perfect perhaps is the enemy of good, that just because, yes, there are cameras and things everywhere doesn't mean necessarily that we have to help them out any more than they already are, right? Like sure, maybe they're tracking your Google searches, but must they also be able to record your dinner party conversations? And maybe that's is that a step beyond, do you think?
Are we the fools for literally inviting them into our home?
I will be honest, I have felt like years ago, like when it was still kind of cool and novel, I got an Alexa or an Amazon Echo Mini or something for my sister and her family as like a Christmas present.
Right.
And there was a part of me that kind of got this shudder in my body afterwards of like, this is the sci-fi dystopia where I have now gifted to my own family the gift of government surveillance.
Right.
Like there is something like a little bit uncomfortable about it.
100%.
It's a little bit like a Black Mirror episode, right?
Because there's times where it's like, it's been in our house for so long and like we've kind of grown up with it, which is good or bad, that like I don't even think, like, I'll talk about like tax information or a social security number. And like I don't know if Google or anything wants that. But like it's like I don't even think about that anymore. And it's kind of like it's weird that it's like I'm just so numb to being able to like talk about that, but I would never say, like, if let's say we were at the arcade, I wouldn't lean over to somebody and be like, my social security number is 111, like
wait, hold on.
111 11 111 1 2.
Oh, that's...
Are you using a pen on your phone?
Yeah, well, it's a stylus.
Uh-huh.
There's not a it's fine. It's all I had to grab. Have you ever had the experience where you've said something and then you got an ad or a suggestion about the thing you talked about?
Goddamn day of my life. So,
yeah.
Real world example. My partner is looking at computer monitors. They have monitors now that
so am I. I do it all the time. Right now, I'm looking right at one. Oh, he's leaving.
So they make a monitor that you can add to the back of your laptop screen. So it's like you can have 2 monitors or 3 monitors on your laptop that pull out. We did one method. Google search on his computer. I now get notifications on my phone about him.
Right.
So it's like every now and then it's weird, but it's like we're on the same home Wi-Fi. We're on the same network. Part of me likes these kind of ads because, like, don't advertise me something that I don't need.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't need advertisements on my devices for, like, feminine hygiene products. Don't need them.
There's something to be said. Yeah, we're not in the days anymore of like when you're watching the Game Show Network on cable and they assume you're 65,
right?
And they're like advertising you heart medication and adult diapers, and you're like,
which, to go on a quick rant, like,
I just like Family Feud.
When's the last time you've watched like Channel 2 or like Price is Right on actual cable?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do it frequently, but.
Because like we were at a hotel not so long ago, and you can only watch cable unless you have your Netflix hookup. And the amount of it really shows you who watches network TV.
Yeah,
it was advertisements for like catheters, oxygen, adult diapers, like what to do when you die. Like literally, like they're like, you're 70. Here is what, like AARP commercials. It was like not one of the commercials was for like, like a Dave and Buster's, or like going out and like they were commercials for wheelchairs. Like they've just phoned it in. Comcast knows we know who watches.
Dave and Buster's, more like old and busted. Was that that funny? I think I committed to it, so it was.
Write that down for a title for another episode.
Okay. Yeah, I will. It'll come up soon. Yeah, old people be watching cable. That's for sure. And old people maybe be afraid of smart devices and technology as well.
Has that ever come up in your life? Like, we both have parents who are roughly the same age and family who's roughly the same age. Has that ever, like, because I'm assuming you get the IT phone calls like we do. And it's like, I never get the phone call or the question of like, should I be buying this? Should this be in my house? Should I be like, that's never come up for me. I don't know if it has for you.
No, not at all. I did get a text a week or so ago from my mom that said, "What is my Wi-Fi password?" And I replied, "I don't know. Is it on the router?" And she said, "Yes, it is." Job's done. Problem solved. It's like, what do you think I have them all written down? Like, you think I just know all my family members' Wi-Fi networks? I don't know.
That's amazing. You're like, I don't know, but can I have your bank account information, Mom? That'd be great.
This Nigerian prince has some questions for us.
What is my Wi-Fi password?
My Wi-Fi password? You're apologizing for me, right? No, anyway. Everyone liked that. Where were we? Smart devices.
So it wouldn't, like, if I walked into somebody's house and they had a security camera, like I have one of those Wise cameras. And if somebody had one in their house, because we count that as that's a smart device.
Yeah.
A lot of the Alexas have camera built into it, and not only audio record. It wouldn't bother me.
Now I'm gonna admit, I don't consider myself a paranoid man, but I do have the little cam
right.
to watch my little kitty cats when I go away.
The cam.
And I don't keep it plugged in when I'm home. And I don't. Yeah. It's not like. I have a webcam also that's usually hooked up to my computer. I'm not covering that up or anything. But there is something about. I think maybe it's because like the webcam, someone would have to at least actively kind of try to spy on me through it, whereas this camera literally is like constantly providing a feed to a server somewhere.
Something. Right.
There's something about that's like the one thing that I am like, I just don't need that running all
that's
the time.
In your personal home, but like if you went into so if you go to, let's say you come over to my house for a dinner party,
never would,
and you saw what
just unrealistic. Go on.
Sorry. And you saw a security camera set up in our dining room, actively on, light on. Would you be weirded out by that?
No.
Right. Because in a dining room, like, you live alone. You, like, same with us. Like,
don't rub it in. Come on.
You having a security camera in your own home would be weird.
I do live with my Wi-Fi password.
My Wi-Fi password. Because, like, if you don't want to think, like, oh, if I want to walk from my bedroom to the kitchen in underwear, you don't be like, oh, the camera's on.
Right. Yeah. I want to lay out on the carpet, spread eagled naked.
Right.
And just relax.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, if any of you want to draw that, you can send it to our email address. It's.
Can I just say I made an error because lay act. This is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. Lay really should apply to an object. So, like, you can lay your head down. You can lay a hand on someone's
shoulder.
Thank you. That was a good save because I was about to say thigh and it was a little bit too creepy.
Ooh, yeah, no, I can tell when you're getting creepy.
But you lie down if you're lying down. That's all I wanted to say.
But how often do you lie about lying down?
Almost never.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's specifically. So I think we've covered the broad privacy concern that for us, the two of us at least, and for males as well. The two of us, at least, we do not. We've kind of come to terms with it. We've accepted that. Look, we've lost this fight. If people want to spy on us, it's everywhere. At a certain point, you just need to embrace it, or
Right.
also maybe say, well, if everyone's being spied on, then I'm so boring. Whatever, who cares?
And like a lot of times, the good outweigh
It's
the
life.
bad. Like security cameras outside or the traffic cameras. We want to be able to see if someone stole something from our house. Fine, we're always being watched, but what are you
Sure.
doing?
There's trade-offs. There's conveniences. There's good and bad sides to it, maybe. But specifically in this case, Kilroy
I would love to.
is worried about their conversation during dinner being recorded.
Right.
I don't know. What my first thought is, I'm assuming there's going to be like 15, 20 people there. Now, granted, probably technology is probably good enough that they can parse individual conversations, but
Right.
I don't know. Is it if there's if there's 10 people having a
It
conversation?
takes me 25 minutes every week to set up this setup. And I went to school for this, so I don't know how good they are.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if they're parsing those individual
Right.
things. And I'm fighting the urge because there's the temptation to say like, well, what are you worried about them hearing? But that's not a healthy.
That's what I was
say
thinking.
That.
That was gonna be my next thing. Like, what are you talking about? That like,
Right. But then you're getting into the territory of like, oh well, if you don't have anything to hide, you should be okay with the police should just come and search you if you're like,
Right.
no, everyone should like I think that's the thing is this person. I don't know that they're wrong. Like you're right. No one should be recorded
Right.
ever without their consent. You're not wrong, but we do then. So there's like the privacy technology aspect of it, and then there's the social function aspect of it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Of is it acceptable to bring this up to the host?
Right, because like the host himself isn't recording you.
That's that. Hopefully,
Like, well,
that's another issue.
but like they don't have access to this. It's not like, Bill, who's hosting the dinner party, is able to access these files. I'm sure somebody can. I'm
slurping a
sure
little.
one of our smart friends can figure out how to access these files. So it's not
You ever see Kimmy?
Kimmy.
Not Schmidt.
Uh,
There's
Gibbler?
a Steven Soderbergh movie on HBO Max called Kimmy, Kimi. Kimmy was like their fake Alexa,
Okay.
and the whole movie's about her job is to literally listen to people's conversations recorded off these devices and like analyze them for, quality concerns. Like when something doesn't work, she's like, oh, they asked it to order food and it didn't. She's supposed to like log
Right.
that and fix the bug or whatever. And I don't know if that probably is a real job. I don't really know.
100%.
Yeah, so yeah, like maybe people are listening to you. So, is it okay again to now? I mean, to be fair, in Kilroy's defense, like we said on our previous case, are they hurting anyone? I think is a part of it. I feel like that's
Right.
maybe that's maybe something you have to think about with all of these cases. Are they being rude? They are asking this beforehand, right?
Right.
They're not. They didn't show up and demand they turn it off. They simply said, "Look, I don't want this on. If you want it on, then I guess that's more important than our friendship, and I'm gonna leave."
And that's pushing it. Like if somebody were to come to my house and like, hey, do me you said, let's say the number is 15 people that are there. If one person has a problem with it, maybe that one person shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Because like we've stated this, we live in a society now where,
Live in a
even
society.
even back in the day, what is that from?
I believe the Joker.
Okay. Even back in the day, like, they were recording our phone calls before cell phones and stuff like that. Like, this has been going on without our knowledge for years.
They were outside the door with a glass.
Right. They had that big cone sitting in the unmarked van across the street with the... Anyway.
Yeah, they were Gene Hackmaning shit all over the place.
Yep, Gene Hackmaning shit. And so, like, it's a very weird situation for me. Like, I would never go... Like, I'm not the type of person who would go to somebody's house, period. No. I would never go to somebody's house and be like, hey, you have a dog. I'm allergic to dogs. Can you cage the dog? You know, like... Or, like, hey, like...
Yeah,
it's a little bright in here. Can you turn down the lights? Like, if you have an issue with it, either you suffer with said issue or you don't go. Like, you as an individual have the right to just not go.
True. The
And, like,
dog feels like a step beyond. This is an inanimate device that doesn't...
Well, yes.
Isn't alive.
That was just kind of a...
Yeah. I get it.
Because also, does Kilroy go to a grocery store and ask them to turn off their surveillance system?
Right. Well, I think Kilroy
Because
would say, well, that's a public area, not somewhere I'm having what might be like a more private conversation. That's what that seems to be concerned about is the dialogue.
The privacy, right.
Yeah, like the things we're talking about in our own homes.
Right.
Yeah, and it's tricky.
It's such a weird thing for me because, like I said, yeah, we have them. And it's like, I guess in my brain, like, I don't have anything to hide. Not saying that they are trying to hide something.
They're communists. Like, maybe they're communists.
Maybe they're mafia. We don't know. But if they are, you know, maybe they can help us bump our numbers.
They're planning to go over to this dinner party, sit down, I'll pass the potatoes. By the way, have you considered assassinating President Joseph R. Biden?
Right.
And they don't want anyone to hear that.
You went with the R in there, too. And that's the other thing, too. Like, you and I are stupid. We've said some pretty stupid stuff as jokes. We've never gotten an FBI letter.
It's true.
Like, there was a time, like, we would, like, go onto one of our friends' Wi-Fi and search, like, just foul things into Google, and then nobody got in trouble.
Yeah, it's like when I'm holding my own smartphone close to my mouth.
Right.
You know, Google could be listening, and if I talk about the fact that maybe I'm planning a school shooting, or I'm going to bomb a local government building, or... just generally obstruct police business in my area. So far, no one has ever done anything to me about that.
There's people at my door. I have to.
I'm about to get swatted.
Somebody
my own self-swat.
And you're sitting right in front of a window that we would just see that perfectly.
But maybe somewhere out there, there's a secret file on me that's like, just in case.
Now,
he ever does something,
on the opposite side, knowing how much of a creep you are, do you think it's good that somebody potentially could be listening?
No, I don't think it's good.
Like, you don't think, like, if there's somebody planning something, that it's good that somebody can be like, hey... something shady's going on at 1616 Mockingbird Lane.
I don't. I mean, if it's to protect the monsters, then maybe it's worth it. But no, I've seen enough and read enough dystopian fiction and science fiction
where they can use it against you.
You know, that we don't, precogs are bad. I know that the negatives always outweigh the positives, and that's the thing for me that I really straddle a line where like I said, I completely agree with this. I completely sympathize with this perspective, and I think it's absolutely right. I am just lazy, and I have just simply given up and just said there's convenience factor. So for me personally, it's just like, whatever. But intellectually, rationally, I don't think it's good. And I think I'm like, yeah, it could it probably will bring about the downfall of society if it hasn't already, some might argue. But I'm just going along for the ride.
I wouldn't go that far because like I don't think there's like actively people like I said like we've been on the internet. People type things. People
True.
talk in public. Like
True.
I don't think there is a conspiracy theory behind the whole Google smart home thing. Because if there was, somebody would have found it.
Maybe
There's
not
people,
yet. Maybe it's coming.
There's people like the Edward Snowdens. There's people, people who their job
Sure.
is to break this information. And if they haven't already, I don't think there's a reason to worry about it yet.
But maybe they have. Like, that's the thing. Maybe they're just doing it in secret ways that don't affect you, but they affect.
But, in a grand scheme of things, like, sure, if I saw one at my doctor's office, I would be like, can we get that out of the room, please? Or like you go to a therapist. A lot of people do online therapy.
Oh yeah, Kilroy didn't mention that this dinner party was it was their therapist's office.
Right. But like, if you think about it, there's a place
Sure.
for things not to be, would I have a camera in my bedroom? No. Would I have a camera in our living room? Sure. There's a place for it. You don't want these smart devices. Like, I think there's still laws that like lawyers can't have a smartphone with a camera on it in a courtroom. At somebody's dinner party in, I think this article or this story came from the East Coast. You're not going to like a boardroom or like this Illuminati meeting that like, can we have that microphone taken down? We're going to talk about some stuff.
Well, in that case, then the host would not have they'd be the ones to take it down. Yeah. I mean, it's a nuanced thing. And I feel like most of the people probably who are listening to this who are more internet savvy are going to fall on the side of wanting privacy concerns, but at the same time, wanting privacy, I should say. But at the same time, most people are thinking about that. I don't think when they go to someone's house.
Because
it's so ubiquitous. What can you do? Everybody has one.
And it's also like, are you just being overly paranoid? Because like I'm a very paranoid person. I'm very,
It sounds like you're not, but maybe it manifests
in
itself
my own
different
home.
ways.
No.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
If I'm out in public and like, sure, there's like a cop behind me, I'm super paranoid. But that's how they set us up to fail. But I'm not paranoid in my own home because it's like, they're going to find out information about you anyway.
Well, that sounds like you're so paranoid that you just don't care anymore. Like it's not. I don't know if it's paranoia, but it's like you've made peace with it, which is kind of where I am.
Because like there's even all those information for like people are like, oh, your credit card number. If somebody wanted to hack your credit card number or steal your identity, that information's already out there. It's not you dropping your credit card. It's not you. It's not the petty thefts that somebody's going to steal your card and get a tank of gas. It's, there's higher up things. Yeah. That's a whole different conversation. But if I've walked into plenty of people say I've walked into your house and you have a Google. Like, I'm not like, I wouldn't be like, can you take that down?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm ready to give a verdict. What about you?
Yeah. Gentleman first.
Okay. I guess, is that me? By default.
Yeah. Out of the two of us, you are the gentleman.
In any other situation, I don't think so. So this is tough for me. I have to be honest. Mm-hmm. In judging, ultimately what we are doing here is judging Kilroy's guilt or innocence in terms of requesting that this device be taken down.
Right. Not about his ideas, not about his,
And in light of about this action, and also in light of the manner in which they went about it, which was to say, they ask ahead of time, they know it's there, they simply won't go if otherwise they're not going to disrupt the party or cause a scene or anything.
Walk in with like a hammer and start.
Yeah, anything like that.
Well, I have a hammer. Why did I use a fake hammer?
If I had a hammer,
what would you do with
I'd start a stupid podcast.
All right. Hey, now.
My personal instinct is to be like, I wouldn't do this. I don't believe this is necessarily the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. I don't really agree with this. This is not how I feel generally in life. Right. But I'm trying really hard to be an impartial outside observer as a judge. And this is a professional show, and it's very, very important to be impartial. I do feel like the way that this was done was fair. And I don't think they necessarily are harming anybody. You know, it's not like the case of Skip, who was skipping TV shows, where I felt like they were harming themselves.
Right.
This person, I think, is not harming themselves or anyone else, and that's why, even though it's not necessarily, I don't fully agree with the practice, I ultimately have to decide that they are not guilty. But what about you? I feel like maybe you're going to be harsher. I don't know.
I don't, like, my whole thing is, as an individual, going into another individual's home where they invited you. They know you. They are friends with you, assuming. They reached out and were nice enough to invite you over to their home. I think it's kind of not, I don't want to say, is arrogant the right word?
Could be. I don't know. What's the rest of your sentence?
For them to be like, hey, I'm coming over.
Self-important, maybe?
Can you take this thing down? Can you disable something that is in your home that you have in there to make your life easier? Can you disable that for one person, being me, so I could feel more at ease? I think that's asking quite a bit from the hosts of this party, when they're already worrying about, like, oh, do we have enough food for all these people? Is there enough toilet paper? Is the house clean? The last thing they want to worry about is
enough toilet paper. What are they serving?
Taco Bell. It's all Taco Bell. Well, you would know if you listened to their Google
No Taco
Home.
Bell slander, please, on this show. Continue.
So, like, it is, like, if somebody were, like, if you were to come to my house and were to call me, like, if I invited you for a dinner party, you called me in advance and said, hey, I noticed last time I was there that you had a Google Home hanging in your dining room. Would you take that down? I'd be like, fuck you. I'm not taking that down. Like, or I'd be like, you're kidding, right? Like, you're like, why would you ask me to do that? Like, you're coming into my house. Like, I'm not going to do that. So, like, what was your verdict?
I said not guilty.
I would say he's guilty.
All right. That means we officially have a mistrial. Yep. And in the case of a mistrial, of course, both parties are punished. So yes. I'll hand sentencing down for Kilroy himself and say that Kilroy, I think, needs to... No, I said Kilroy was not guilty. I'm punishing the
That's
other
why I was confused.
party.
Yeah, you're confused. You're the homeowner.
I'm so confused. Yes, I'm punishing the host, the dinner party host. They need to learn the error of their ways, and they need to now just be constantly surveilled. This is always my go-to. It's the pack of cigarettes. Smoke the whole pack.
Right.
You want your smart device? You got to record everything you say for a week and manually submit it to President Joseph R. Biden.
Oh, Joseph R. Biden.
I don't know. What's yours?
I like.
Stupid.
It's hard because, like, okay, Biden, because, like, he's basically sentencing himself to not be able to enjoy going places. You know what? Like, he's in his own head about this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
whose houses can he go to still that doesn't have one is the question.
Right. Who doesn't have one? This kind of person probably doesn't have a smartphone.
Or they do, and they're just It's dumb.
Right, it's locked. And yeah. He
They
probably
don't realize.
he can't enjoy going to like a concert or like to a store or whatever. So like, my verdict would be like, you have to like live in your own with your own self. Like you it's deep. You have to, you don't get invited to
Isolation.
parties. Yeah, you don't get invited to parties anymore. If you want to be this tinfoil hat, let's say, you have to like be in your own bunker and live with yourself.
I think that sentence is going to pass. I think that's the default thing that's going to happen. Yeah.
Right.
I think you nailed it.
Because at some point, enough people are going to be like, we're not inviting this guy over.
Right. Yeah.
Unless they're all like in the same field. Like, they're friends for a reason. So like, they're all like have something in common, but what.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling this might be a contentious one for viewers and listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to hear people's responses to this one, which of course you can do by emailing us at geeksontrial@gmail.com. And that's also where you can go to submit your own cases if you want to hear us deliberate your petty geeky squabbles on this show, or you can use our special form that we've made also, which has a link in that episode description.
And if you would like to support the show, which we would greatly appreciate, you can do so over at our Patreon, patreon.com/geeksontrial, for a few bucks a month, and that'll help us buy new Alexas and monitor ourselves while we're sitting here in the studio. And you can also support us for free by giving us a 5-star rating in your podcast host of choice. Whatever.
Mm-hmm, sure. Yeah,
and a thumbs up and all that in the YouTube video area.
We'll just quickly also mention that, again, if anyone doesn't know, we're on YouTube as well. If you're listening to the audio, we're on podcast form as well. If you're watching the video, we're on Twitter. We're on TikTok now, at Geeks on Trial. Look for these places. Check out the links in the description. Instagram. Yeah, it's all out there.
Now, where can people find you when you're not talking about Joseph R. Barden?
Well, if you're not listening to me through a device already, you can hear my thoughts projected at the world on Twitter. My handle is @Quentz. And over at my personal website, jonathanestis.com, that's sort of the hub where you get the complete Jonathan Estes experience from my newsletter, other podcasts, and YouTube videos if you're interested.
And you can find me. I just recorded 25 brand new episodes of The Snack Guy, which are going to be coming out shortly, maybe within the month. So you can find me over at youtube.com/The Snack Guy. I'm getting looks.
That's a big number.
Yep.
Did you just check out of the hospital?
I did.
Okay. Well,
I like to pre-record. I like to get those out of the way.
Was it like a wine tasting where you spit it out after each stage?
There's a bucket behind me.
I'm excited to see all that. Everybody, please stay tuned. But thanks for watching or listening. My name is Jonathan.
My name is Ivan. Oh, Han.
There you go.
And we'll catch you next time. This has been Geeks on Trial.